Xiandri, who was turning 12, sent me a picture of a cake she designed herself. It's a beach-themed cake with corals, starfish, shells, and 2 surfboards. Let me show you how to make it. First, I'm making the shells by mixing brown and white fondant together. I use this silicone mold for all my shells. They're so easy to use. All you need to do is to sprinkle some corn flour on top so the fondant won't stick, and then just press it down to create the shape. I think they come out really well. For the corals, I use this silicone mold. It's quite tricky to make, although it looks easy, and you might think you just press down the fondant and it'll come out perfectly. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes the shape don't come out as clean as you want, so you will need to do a little bit of trimming here and there to get the perfect coral shapes. Here, I'm making the 2 surfboards that Xiandri requested. So I used turquoise and white fondant, and I just freehand cut the shapes. And I used the blue surfboard to guide the size of the white surfboard, so to make sure that they are the same size. Next, I'm adding floral wires to the surfboards so they can stand up on the cake later on. The surfboards have a line design on them, so I'm just adding the lines to the surfboards now. Now on to preparing the cake. I'm stacking the 4 layers of cake and filling them with chocolate ganache. Since this cake will be covered in white buttercream, I pipe some buttercream around the sides of the ganache in between layers, just to make sure that the ganache won't ooze out, because we don't want any ganache, dark ganache showing through the white buttercream. So the crumb coating is now done, and I transferred the cake onto the cake board. So now I'm adding more buttercream. I'm using extra layers to cover the entire cake because it's a chocolate mud cake which has a pretty dark color. So I'm adding a lot of buttercream here, and I actually colored the top layer with a tiny bit of brown paste to achieve a sand-like color. Then I added teal blue paste and a bit of royal blue paste for the sea. So I'm just creating a beach effect using my palette knife all around the boards, and I also adding some wave effect for the side of the cake, again using my palette knife. and kind of, you know, just dab it over all the buttercream to make these textures. At first, I used a technique to make a wave effect by adding dollops of cream and blue buttercream, but after finishing, I didn't really like how it looked. It just didn't seem too natural. So I decided to make it my own. I just dabbed the dollops with my palette knife and manually created the wave effects. I think the waves look more natural now. Now I'm adding sand made from almond meal, which is great because it has no taste. Some people use brown sugar, but that adds extra sweetness, and I didn't want the cake to be overly sweet. So next, I'm adding all the pre-made decorations, the 2 surfboards that have been dried, the corals, the reefs, sea creatures, sea stars, and shells. To create the name Xiandri, I'm using these alphabet cutters, and this name will go on the front of the cake. Here, I've added edible glitter to the corals, but we can't really see it in the video somehow. The lighting might have affected it and my camera didn't quite catch it, but I thought it would be really cool to add the glitters just to add some extra sparkles. And I actually slowed down the video here so you could see the little bit of glitter falling on the cake. And there it is, a beach themed cake for Xiandri's 12th birthday. Thank you for watching and see you next time.